We haven't heard about CitizenCon yet, but I'm actually not as worried about that as I thought. Because if you go back to last year, and we looked last week on stream, on this very stream actually, we looked at when they mentioned last year that CitizenCon would be happening. And if you do any searches, you'll find that the official stuff that started to come out was around, actually April. The first official announcement of CitizenCon, you know what, there's an easier way to do this. If you go back in the comms link, it's probably the best way. There might have been like a mention on Discord or Spectrum. I think Sandy mentioned it in a Star Citizen Live. But as far as an official announcement goes to let the people know, to let the general community understand that, hey, this is an event that's going to happen this year, start getting your tickets and stuff, or at least prepare to start getting your tickets. That was, I believe, first week of April. So yeah, this week in April 2nd, here we go. Yeah, CitizenCon 2954 FAQ. And this came out, doesn't have the actual date, but we can at least see that the April 2nd or the April 3rd roadmap roundup, which was a Wednesday, came out. And then the This Week in Star Citizen, which was a Friday, came out on the 8th. So this probably came out this was a Monday with the 8th. So this probably came out on the 5th, on the Friday. So we still got like a solid month before they usually do an official announcement. But as I said, last year, they were saying things earlier. Now, I think that's because last year was actually a unique year for them in the sense that they were really, really like fucking ridiculously overhyping things. Not overhyping in hindsight, right? We were also hyped. It was coming off of a big CitizenCon. It was like, okay, we're starting to see things come over from Squadron. Like they're getting they're getting the work done. The preview starting. Server meshing is getting tested. Like all this stuff. They really wanted to just keep riding that wave. And so they were talking about CitizenCon. They were saying it's going to be the best show. You've got to go to that show. My God, tweet. And we all got hyped. And so by the time they were ready to announce CitizenCon, everybody was already super excited for CitizenCon. That's not going to happen this year. It's simply not going to happen. This is going to be more of a, hey, we're building the game. Like they've got their heads down more this year, and it's more about the actual dev than the messaging, which is good. That's made for a more boring year than last year, these first couple of months. But I think people are already more satisfied with what they're seeing in 4.1 than in 3.23. I think part of that is because it's not being hyped up to be expected. 3.23 was like this patch that was supposed to be heralding in Squadron 42 features, and it did. It just immediately died after that. They put in 3.23, and then I think it was 3.23.1 was a pain, and then they had to push the hangers out, and then those things were sitting in like Evocati. Like it all, as soon as 3.23 hit, dragged. And it's because they built it up. We built it up. I built it up. I was part of it. Eh? You know? And I'm not gonna lie. The freaking map, the FPS changes, these things are good and they improve the game, but the momentum did not continue. And I think they don't want to do that again this year. So I'm not gonna say that there's something wrong about CitizenCon not being announced yet. The freaking financials aren't even out yet. That's more concerning. And they haven't said anything about it. Where are your 2023 financials, CIG? Tell us about that. Give us an update on how that's going, because these are the people who are spending the money on making this happen. And I think you still owe them that. But yeah, I don't think CitizenCon's going anywhere. I don't think it's in trouble or anything. I think they're just a lot less about the hype this year, which is a good idea. Hopefully, I don't know. What do you guys want to see from CitizenCon this year? I feel like everything that might happen after CitizenCon this year, even within the next, let's say 18 months, we mostly already know about. These would be things like Maelstrom, Armor System, the new Star Systems, basically anything that's on the way to 1.0. They no longer have that kind of surprise, cool feature sort of presentation to make. So what would you like to see at CitizenCon? Do you just want to see them cover what's coming in the next year? Do you want to see a progress update? Do you want them to just completely skip it? I always felt like CitizenCon was a good annual event to show the people who aren't paying attention every month what's going to happen in the next year. But then you find the people who would be spending the money on those tickets go there and they're like, this is boring. We know this stuff. So they've got this challenge of figuring out what they need to present at CitizenCon. You'd be happy to take a break from CitizenCon this year? If we have a CitizenCon this year, you want a Squadron 42 date? Dude, that would be crazy if they didn't give a Squadron 42 date. Oh boy. Like the 2026 in last year's was definitely a I don't think anybody was truly surprised that they pulled that, but people were still definitely like, damn, like at least a quarter would have been cool. Does it matter though? If CIG gives you a release date for Squadron, does it really matter? I mean, it tells us what their goal is, but I think most people will just look at it and add on a year or two. CitCon needs to happen. What will the internet do if they don't have something to crap on every year? I mean, dude, people have been getting hyped from CitizenCon lately. I think the last 2 years have done a really good job of attracting attention to Star Citizen, positive attention. And you gotta keep in mind the context of previous year CitizenCons for CIG. CitizenCon was regularly an event of controversy and just like missteps, from trying to charge people money to watch CitizenCon online to showing these massive demos that like never solidified, or at least have only started to solidify, sandworm, to just like doing things that didn't show up for a long freaking time. It was just, CitizenCon was constantly drawing attention, but also negative press. And I feel like these last two CitizenCons are the first ones that they've consistently been able to build hype outside of the Star Citizen community for the game. If what we see from Squadron 42 doesn't look like a complete game, then Star Citizen is probably still years away from that. Because Squadron's always going to be ahead of Star Citizen in terms of its polish and its looks, right? So getting to see a good chunk of Squadron 42 gameplay over the last 2 years at CitizenCon is a good sign. And I think it's part of why we're starting to see Star Citizen reach that. So you can look at what we saw from Squadron 42 in 2023 and be like, okay, and by the end of 2025, maybe that's what we'll be seeing from Star Citizen in terms of gameplay. And we might be on track for that. But that's just disappointing, because then this whole time we've been looking at Squadron and being like, okay, when is this releasing? Because whenever this releases, that's when the timer starts for Star Citizen. That's it about CitizenCon. I don't know what they're going to do about it. I don't even know if this is going to be a video, but it's worth talking about a little bit.